um, can't know how you grew up, what your family was like, but I think I can probably say most of the people that we know, I can say this of myself, that I know who live a balanced, uh, good life, who have good life skills, they got them from the family they grew up in. I mean, you are stamped. There's an impression made on you by the family you grew up in. If it's good, if the family is good, the impression most of the time is good. If it's not so good, well, the impression is not so good. All of us, maybe not all of us, but the vast majority of us carry a kind of non-biological DNA from our family. I know very few people who were adopted, which is odd. I mean, I would think I would know more, but I don't know very many. And honestly, of those that I know, I haven't gone deeply into what they think and feel about being adopted. I have read many things about adopted people, and there's lots of different ways adopted people feel about their adoptive family. So where am I going with all this? Here, we were adopted into the most amazing family that ever existed. It's there in Hebrews chapter 2. We talked about it last time, verse 11. But the one who makes people holy and those who are made holy are of the same family. Being in this family should put an imprint on us, but it doesn't always. Have you noticed that? Well, that's okay. We got to walk this back a couple of steps anyway. First of all, I didn't get into this family because I deserved it or earned it in any way. I got into this family because, well, here it is. The one who makes people holy, that's God. And those who are made holy, that's me. I was made holy. I was brought into this family through adoption at the cost of Jesus' blood. So now, not because if I don't do this, I won't be in the family anymore. That's not the point of this. But because I'm in the family, and because I understand a little teeny bit about the cost of me being adopted into this family, it's my desire to have the imprint of this adoptive family in my life. Okay. And that's all about grace. Because God, I don't have a verse and chapter for this, but I am convinced that God is not, He doesn't have a grade book. He's not calculating how much or how little I have reflected this family imprint. Every family that I know of, including my own, would say everybody was imprinted by their family, but not all of us in the same way. And in some families, not all of us to the same degree. Okay. I believe that when any of us who've been adopted into God's family, this family, as we come to understand and embrace our identity in this family by the grace of God, that's how we are able to, I don't know what's the right word, apprehend, accept, at least be imprinted by the values and virtues of this family. And it's not like you're stamped, you're imprinted. It's a process. Okay. And then we kind of hit on this, but not too hard last time. So Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers and sisters. I like the fact that I'm not, in this family, I'm not the weird one. Although I am very weird, Jesus isn't ashamed to call me his brother. Now, if you knew everything about me, if you knew as much about me as I know about me, and God knows everything about me, if I were Jesus, I'd probably be a little embarrassed, but he's not. In fact, in verse 12, he says, I will declare your name to my brothers and sisters, and in the assembly I will sing your praise. Okay. Interesting kind of flipping and weaving of metaphors here. The metaphor of family, of Jesus as a brother who's not ashamed to call me his brother. And then I will declare your name. It's not my name or your name, that's God's name. To my brothers and sisters, in the assembly I will sing your praises. I don't think very many Christians know very much at all about how Old Testament Israelite worshipers, I mean, how did they do that? What was worship like for these pre-Jesus Israelites? Well, they sang. And of course, this was after David's time and after the psalmists. The book of Psalms was their hymnal. Although in many churches today, if I were to say, open your hymnals, there are no hymnals to open. It's all on a screen. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, in the Old Testament, the Psalms were the songs. And the Psalms they generally used were songs of objective praise. Okay, and it's interesting. What the Hebrew writer here does is he quotes Psalm 22. And then again, I will put my trust in him. Now how does that connect? As you know from your footnotes in your Bible, that's from Isaiah. I will put my trust in him. Who is the him? Well, that I think is the one who's name is declared to brothers and sisters, and to whom the praises are sung. I will put my trust in him. Is it possible, and I'm only asking this, I'm not saying this is it. Is it possible that me giving praise to God, and here, it's not just giving praise to God, it's singing praises. Is that connected somehow to trust? It could be, and I'm going to waste, I hope not waste, but I'm going to take some time to think about this out loud. When the Israelites, the Jews, sang these songs of praise to God from the book of Psalms, what we have, what was that about? I mean, well, number one, it was offering praise to God who deserves to be praised, right? A second thing about that is when they sang those praises to God, they were reminding themselves of his intervention, his holiness, his nature, his faithfulness. We need many repetitions of the fact of God's work in our lives in order to be able to trust him with what we don't know yet. A lot of people already do that. So if you're one of those people, may your tribe increase. But there are a lot of others of us who we tend to forget the times God has been faithful. When we're faced with a dilemma or a difficulty or a problem right now, and we don't see the solution to that problem, that's when faith is necessary. Because for things that have already been done and happened, what faith is necessary? Well, the only faith I can think of that's necessary in that case is faith to believe that God will bring something good out of what seems bad in the moment, okay? But that's still future oriented. I have to reflect on history, on God's faithfulness, and often, in order to trust him in the future. Well, he goes on, the Hebrew writer, and again he says, "Here am I, and the children God has given me." Again, that's from the book of Isaiah. I kind of think, well, number one, the Hebrew writer was more than a little conversant in terms of the Old Testament, the prophets and the Psalms and history. And we're going to see more and more of that as we move forward in the book at a snail's pace. Here am I, and the children God has given me. Who is the I there? Okay, I think you got to wind it back to, this is Jesus, the one who's not ashamed to call us his brothers and sisters. We are children. One of the things about children, once you get past the sentimental aspects, oh, they're so cute and they're so innocent. You been around little kids lately? Yeah, they're cute and at times they're innocent, but man, sometimes they're a mess. That's me. probably you too. But we're his children. Okay. Pick it up again next time on So Care with Stevie.